What's up, guys? Tim Halstead here with episode 38 of Fixing Up the 409 Cleveland. So, if you saw episode 37, I kind of just ran down where I'm at just to keep everybody abreast of the situation, where I'm going, and my goals, because things change dynamically. For instance, I had that old Cougar, a 69 body that I was going to fix up and do a pro street car type, or, you know, a big tire car and drag race it. Put that DragBoss 427 in it. Well, things changed. Here's my new plan, because I sold that car to Jeremy Basinger from Pennsylvania. He drove down here this week. We pushed it up on his trailer like nothing, and he's got a car that he wants to fix up that he's had since his first car. So, but it's got frame rot and that kind of stuff, and this is a mint body. So I let him take that, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start building that 40 Ford Coupe. I have that. It's all in primer. I got an aftermarket frame my buddy builds. My buddy Alec from Arc Hot Rods has the frame, actually the wheels and tires, suspension pieces. I'm just going to start working on that. I'm going to make that into a drag car and put the DragBoss 427 in a 1940 Ford Coupe. I think that'll be killer looking. So, like I said, things change, and that's what I'm doing. So, today's video, we're going to get that motor torn out. We're going to start tearing it down, because in the other video I told you that this head's going to Darren Morgan to get kind of freshened up, because I want everything right like it was brand new. And I still got to pull the oil out of that 409. Hopefully there's no water in it, there's no issues in it. And if there is, then the crank and everything's got to come apart. I'm going to have to check all the bearings out. But with this head here, here's the exhaust valve I showed you. Let's just see how this thing looks like it'll seal. Because I could probably reuse it. I just cautious and don't want to take a chance. So we can see how this thing seals margin-wise. And I'll tell you, it does look mint regardless of what it looks like in person. I'll see if I can show it to you. It's clear. There's not one area that isn't mucked up. Same here. So if I was going to fix these heads and not put the titanium intakes in, I would clean everything up, do the same thing, and check on that valve seat and see how it seats. Make sure we don't have any issues, because some of the areas are a little questionable, but they're not in the seat. They're not in the margin. They're on the outside. And but like I said, it's not worth it. I'm fixing it. I want to fix it the right way. So let's get tearing that motor apart. Thanks for tuning in. All right, guys, so we're going to make way, get some room made here so we can bring the motor over here and start tearing it down. But these are going to go off to Morgan again to get fine-tuned, make sure there's no issues with them. They look pretty good. These things are like close to 400. And the exhaust looks pretty good. I think they'll benefit definitely from the titanium intake and exhaust. So I don't want to leave anything on the table if I'm going to dyno it. This will give me a true idea on what we picked up on the horsepower with Darren's porting. Because I dynoed it before when it was 752 at 7600 with the addition of some titanium intakes and some different porting. So we'll see how this got straightened around and picked up big time on the numbers. So let's see if it does it on the dyno. So here's the deal. Let's pull the drain plug. See what runs out of it. Hopefully it's just oil. If it's just oil, I'm good. If I see water coming out first, then I know I got an issue. But, you know, and like I said, I never got to race it. I had idle time on it, and one time up the street, so I don't think it hurt anything. I always had good oil pressure. I did a leak down before I tore it apart, and I think all the cylinders were like 3 to 6%, something like that. It was good. I was pretty impressed with it. Maybe not 3%, but it was like 6 to 8 or something. I don't know. I can look it up. It's on the video. But let's see what we got. Last time I did this, I don't know how long ago it was now, 8 months ago or whatever. Almost had oil everywhere. It's cold, I'll tell you. 2050 oil. A lot of people think it might be too thick. But I don't know, I think it works good in a filled block because that oil, man, gets hot. That's one of the issues with a filled block. Here we go. Nice and green. We'll look at that thing in a minute. It's looking good. Doesn't smell contaminated or anything. You know, this pan holds 9 quarts. That's what I've always ran. Had good luck with them. You know, the issue I think with the Cleveland, I just don't want this thing overflowing on us, is the fact that I think it needs a lot of sump. 9 quarts, needs a restrictor kit. That's all you need. I don't think you need to have all the bushings, although I think I'd like to have that. I see how nice they look, and it alleviates the problem. I just been too cheap to put them in, and I've had good luck with what I got, so I roll. But it's nice looking green oil, that Brad Penn. That's what I use. I think we talked about it before. There's 9 quarts of it. But I didn't see any water coming out of it, and that's a good thing. Then it always gets down to the fact that from this far, do I pull the pan off and look at it? Pull a main cap off, look at a rod. I mean, I've done that before. Sometimes I get that superstition where it's like, oh, if I pull it apart, it's never going to be the same, you know. But like I said, it had good oil pressure. Everything else was good. Probably just going to say, that's it. Not messing with it. I will, though, and aside from that, I run the filter mag on the 515R Wix filter, racing filter. And I think that filter mag makes a difference. Now I gotta do this without making a mess. Tell you one thing I've found at the hardware store that's pretty helpful. They're plumber's mats, and they soak up water or fluids or whatever really well. So that makes it nice. But like I said, I got the filter mag on there. I'm going to cut that filter off. We'll cut it off on camera like we did before, and we'll see what's in it. Hopefully nothing. But that'll give me a good indication of the internals on this. I just hate tearing things back apart after it's been running so well. But now's the time if you're going to do it. Cat-like reflexes. Oh yeah, right. See what I mean? But thank God I got the old plumber's mat, and I just go. Yeah, I can't stand getting messes in the garage, so I went to extra extremes to prevent it from getting all over the floor. But you see it spilled right there, right on camera. So here's the block. I got it all, the head's torn down, and you saw the head earlier. But I'll tell you, I don't know if you can see it, but I'll probably bring the camera over and show you. So it's looking good. And you can see I probably scratched it up a little bit. I was trying to look in there with a bore scope. But it's all covered up. We'll get all that taken apart when we start to tear it down. And can't wait to test that too. That Scott Cook Air Supremacy with the APD billet enforcer. Now we'll have a good test on that intake, because these heads are flowing so much better than they were before. Because it didn't pick much up compared to that intake there. So let's see what happens. That'll be a good test. Hopefully the old Cleveland block here can handle it. But meanwhile, back in the garage. All right, we got the oil spill under control. It was no Valdez tanker, but it was bad enough for me. No doubt about that. You know me, I can't stand spills in the garage. But here's the drain plug. Now this looks like it's got some smuts on it. I don't know. It's really black and dark. And it's to the magnet, but it's one of those things I got to start looking at it and decide whether I'm going to pull this apart. I'll tell you, for being the motor going together and everything was fine, it never leaked a drop of oil, except the damn drain plug would leak a drip. Like a drip every, I don't even know, maybe every 3 days you might see a drip there, a little tiny bit on it. I was like, always, I tried tightening it up. I said, I ain't messing with it. And I think I had a copper washer. Maybe I need one of those nylon washers or a new copper washer. I'm interested to see what's in that filter. But either way, I don't see chunks or anything. We'll see what we find out. Let's get this filter off. We already talked about the filter bag, so we don't need to go on that. Whoa. A little tight there. I've heard of horror stories, people blowing oil filters off and that kind of stuff. Never want to go through any of that business. And if you saw the cylinders inside there, there's like, it's a little wet. And that's like WD-40 that I sprayed in there. I'll actually tell you it's not WD-40, probably the same stuff. Which they say WD-40 is like vanilla scented kerosene. But it's this cheap Walmart brand lubricant. I'll show you. Nothing. No name, Super Tech Walmart lubricant. I use it a lot. It cleans parts pretty well. Takes rust off stuff. I like to wipe down, but I don't like no rust getting on this block while it's sitting around. So I've wiped it all down multiple times since I had this thing out. Because obviously I'm filming this, and this has been sitting out for a while, probably a few weeks on the engine stand. And I don't want it to get rusty. Right now it'll clean up with brake clean, put the head gasket back on, and I'll run this thing, take it to the dyno. So let's get off this valve cover. Well, first let's clean up this mess. So let me clean that up first, make it a little bit more presentable, and I don't want to spill stuff. And we'll get back to it. All right, well, the shop's back and organized, messes are cleaned up, and I cut the oil filter apart. If you've never done that, that's an experience. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Cut around the perimeter with a like whizzer type wheel on a Dremel or whatever cut-off wheel. Cut around there. The housing's pretty easy to get off. It's getting the element off the inside of the filter. It's kind of glued on there, so I used like a coping saw and cut around the filter and took it off. So let's check it out. I did save some of the oil. I don't know. I saw some little bubbles that look like there could be some water in there. So it's making me think I want to pull it apart. Here's the filter media. Now the inside's pretty clean. And I don't know what you can see, but I don't think that's where it's got to be this side. Oh yeah. So there's some debris in here. You can see. It's not big chunks, but there's a little bit of shiny metal. Could it be from the cutoff wheel, cutting in the filter, something like that? Yeah, it could be. There's not big, serious chunks, but there's enough that looks like some dirt. So it's something I definitely want to, oh look, there's a piece of paint. So you know something got into the oiling system. When you see something like that, that paint, it wasn't for me cutting off anything. Little tines, just dissolved, but still. So when I see stuff like this, it's making me want to pull those mains and rods and take a peek at it. Not really into doing it again and tearing it apart, but I'd hate to go ahead and trust what I've seen so far without going the extra mile. So, you know what we're going to do. Let's get that valve cover off. Like I said before in other videos, these little guns are indispensable. I always have stuff covered too over here. I don't want anything dropped down any of the ports, no matter what. I got shop towels inside the ports, and then I cover up here, and I'll probably tape it down and make it even a little bit better. This is where I have the my vacuum pump gauge for the gauge, for the vacuum gauge in the car. Let me show you the sticker I got from Robert Entwistle. Check it out. 408 Cleveland. Looks nice on there, Robert. Thank you. Appreciate it. And Precision Engines. Old Don Rohde. R.I.P. Don. I just like to visually look at everything before I go tearing it all apart. And, oh, you know what? I need a 12-point. That's what I need. I need a 12-point half-inch drive. Because Rohde had it when I torqued them, and I don't have one. I mean, I do, but it's 3/8, and I don't want to be snapping it. At least I need to get the right tool. That's a good time. This is a good place to stop right now. Here's where we're at. So, what we'll do, I'll get the 12-point, come back, we'll pull the rockers off, put them all in bags and label everything. We'll try to get any water out any way we can before we make a big mess. But then we'll just pull the head off, take a peek at it. I guess it's got to come apart. It gets to something like this, I can't, I don't know. Like I always say, no big whoop. Hopefully you guys don't get bored with watching me do this again. Anyways, thanks for subscribing and sharing. Appreciate you tuning in. We'll we'll get this squared away. I want to get this head off, get it shipped to Morgan ASAP. Thanks, Darren, for hooking me up. I appreciate that. Everybody else that I mentioned in episode 37. Stay tuned.